Hello everybody, welcome back to Cars at 100. My name is Leo. Let's talk about everything automotive. So we have a very interesting active performance by Aston Martin, guys, and they have released recently a Vantage V8. So what that means, finally V8 Vantage is back. So that car is gonna have the same engine as the AMG GTS by Mercedes-Benz, and that's not a bad thing. So let me tell you a couple of things about that car. It's gonna be 503 horsepower. It's gonna have 3,500 pound plus of weight, and it's gonna be a very good looking car indeed. And that car is gonna be a very good and very capable car just because of that power to weight ratio. It's gonna be a very technical as well in terms of how it's gonna be on the racetrack, because it was thoroughly tested on the Nürburgring. We saw many spy shots of that car on the street and on the Nürburgring, of course, which is more important. And I think it's something that this car and a lot of enthusiasts were anticipating this car. But what's interesting about that car is how the Aston Martin is finally coming back with the beautiful looking cars. And definitely this car is a very good competition to, of course, is going to compete with AMG GTS with its in-home kind of a competition there. Also, it's going to compete inevitably with 911 being a very benchmark car for the Aston Martin. Also, it's going to compete with the R8, V10 and V8 as well. So Audi is also going to be in the same competition of that car, all of them being a supercars in one league. So what else does this mean, guys? So this car is bringing very good looking supercar to the market. So this car is gonna be one of those cars that you're not just gonna feel that you are fast when you drive this car, you're also gonna feel like you are very stylish. So Aston Martin has always been the type of a car that, you know, you buy not just for the horsepower and the technicality, but also how good it makes you feel overall and how good people look at you when you drive this thing. This thing is really stylish, and that is why the James Bond used it in his movies. And that's a big deal considering how similar this car looks to the Aston Martin that James Bond used in his latest movie Spectre. And this car looks even better and even more same than the DB11 that came out recently. So the car looks more similar to the James Bond's car, and that's really good. So what else is this car doing right now for the market? It's bringing this competition in terms of the weight, guys. So cars are very low on weight right now. And what it means is that they're gonna have a very good power to weight ratio, of course, but also dragging along less weight means they're gonna be really good at corners, and they're gonna be really good in terms of how they're gonna handle on the circuits. So that's the biggest thing. High speed is not as important with these supercars as being very technical in turns and how these cars will handle. So this is very exciting for me personally. I appreciate this type of thing, and I think it's very important to realize that you know, these cars needed to be more practical. Just like Lamborghini was bought by Audi back in the day, and when they included and after they included the infotainment systems that were much better for the cars of Lamborghini, same thing is happening with Aston Martin. And I think it's very important to note that with all the infotainment and electronics being Mercedes-Benz, it means the car company is not just going to be a good looking, stylish, powerful, but also going to be very practical in terms of the intuitiveness for the driver. So that's the big thing I think that needs to be mentioned with this car as well. So it was first introduced with DB11 that came out a couple of years ago, and now this V8 Vantage, which looks even better in my opinion and is more good looking, and you sit very low in the car and you sit it reminds a little bit more of a driver's car than DB11, and I think that's a big deal for Aston Martin to finally step into that realm and realize that they're not just stylish and powerful cars, they are also very good in terms of driver cars. So that's one of the things also that was needed to be mentioned. And in my opinion, the car looks really sharp, really sleek, and I think it's a very good car for the market right now. And I'm rooting for Aston Martin, and I think they have a lot to offer. I hope they're gonna release a hypercar soon that will probably compete with the likes of McLaren and of course with the Mercedes-Benz as well. I hope you enjoyed today's Let's Talk, and we have very interesting content coming up for the channel in future. Stay tuned, guys. This was Leo, and if you like our content, please consider subscribing. That helps us grow. Thank you. See you next time.